Christ in you, the hope of glory. Today I wanted to expand upon the concept that Neville Goddard would talk about almost through all of his lectures when he was still with us on planet Earth. He would always remind his own audience that to him the power of Christ was your own wonderful human imagination, is how he would put it. Now you might have a different concept of Christ, many people do actually, so it might seem a bit confusing or strange at first, but it's actually very helpful if we look at it from this angle. First of all throughout scriptures, we do have evidence that they were suggesting that the power of Christ is within us, that Christ in us is the hope of glory. Or as Neville would talk about Paul's letter to the Corinthians, do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you, unless you fail to meet the test? Come test yourselves and see. Now he would go on to say that this is how he tests himself, by using his imagination in certain ways, so that he can alter his own reality. Now that is exactly the truth. That is something we have to prove to ourselves and learn from experience. Just hearing me or him say that might seem like a great concept. It might give you some hope or some positive feelings about yourself and your potential future, but it is not until we really act on it and take charge of that power that we will discover what we're really capable of doing and what this power of Christ is capable of doing for and with us. So it's doing something for us, but at the same time it's doing it with and through us. So it's a journey you go on together, based on your physical self that you are currently and your imaginative self that you see through your own visions. Now your hope of glory again is your ability to outgrow your present circumstances, no matter how bad or limited they may be. And this outgrowing process actually goes on beyond your own grave. That is a tricky part to accept at first, but if you can just accept the premise, it will do you much good, I can tell you that much. Because what's going to happen if your body drops? Well, your conscious awareness is going to shift focus, and just as it does when you go to sleep at night. This is why in many Eastern philosophies they do say that dying is very closely related to sleeping. So it's just a matter of becoming more and more aware of who you are and what you're capable of doing to begin with. And once that dawns upon you, this all will start to make a lot more sense to you. Now, if you're stuck, if you don't know how to improve your life, then take it serious, this quotation that Neville would share as well. Christ in you, the hope of glory. If you understand that Christ is the power of imagination inside your consciousness, then it's not that difficult to grasp that by building a bigger, better version for your own life, then that becomes your hope of glory. It becomes your hope for a glorious future that you can still create for yourself. The issue again is we only identify with the physical self. We might worry that we can't achieve this dream anyway. We might consider we're already too old. Maybe we're sick. Maybe we're on the verge of death. And then we're like, how can there be any hope of glory for me? I'm about to pass away, or nothing is going to work out for me because I can't, physically speaking. The physical part is only a tiny fraction of who you really are. Because if you're outside of the body, especially when you're sleeping, when you're in those so-called dream realms, you can only control those dream realms. First, if you're aware that you're dreaming, and second, once you're aware of being in a dream, well, if you want to change the dream, you're going to have to focus your own consciousness all over again. So then, still, it's up to you to decide where you're going to go. What sort of glorious experiences do you want to have when you're outside of the body? But for now, let's focus when we're still inside the body. And it's very important that we understand this power. So if you're stuck right now, all you have to do is build a vision of a future that to you seems most pleasant, that seems most meaningful, that would really help and inspire and motivate you in a good way. If you grasp this concept, if you start building a vision inside your mind, no matter how unrealistic it seems, the only question you have to ask yourself honestly is this something I really want? Would this be something I would like to experience for myself, together with other people perhaps? Because eventually, if you make it a reality, you can always share it. If you are sure about this is what I want, once you're building that vision, The only thing you have to do then is keep it alive within your consciousness. And the way to keep something alive within consciousness is by simply giving it your attention, by keeping your focus upon it, day in and out. And as you do that, you have your own hope for a glorious future that starts to develop from the depths of your being. So again, the Christ power is your imagination. That is your hope of glory. If you grasp this properly, then you know that you can start right where you are with whatever you've got, because the resources you'll need will come to you anyway. It's like my mentor would say to me in the past as well. There's all sorts of stuff in your life currently that you don't even really want anymore. It might be clothes, it might be objects, it might be things, or a career that you're having. But at one point, odds are that you really wanted it, and that's why you got it. So that's the question we always have to ask ourselves. Do I really want this future that I can see within my imagination? Because if so, odds are that you're going to get it. In fact, you are going to get it, but the question always remains, will it happen physically speaking or outside of the body? Well, if you're still young and healthy, you're probably in a position to make it happen physically. If you're already physically very old and you know that you don't have a lot of time left, well, then you're going to enjoy it outside of your body. Because once you get out of this body, you'll know by then, you'll remember my words that Ranil or others taught me I should focus my consciousness on whatsoever I desire, and then I can have it. It's like your consciousness simply comes and goes. It moves through dimensions. That's the beauty of it all. So this hope of glory goes way beyond your physical appearance. But for now, for simplicity's sake, just test it out for yourself. Build that vision of what you want to realize while you're physically here. And then allow it to unfold in and as your life. Allow it to inspire and compel you to do whatever needs to be done in order to make it happen. Because as you do that, you'll discover that your imagination was indeed the greatest creative power operating in your life. Another issue that we have to be careful of, though, is that if you start achieving your dreams, never forget that it was your imagination that helped you to achieve them in the first place. Because otherwise you might give your power over to physical things all over again, and you start to feel like a limited human being. You start to feel like circumstances are going to control you or have to be in a certain way for you to succeed all over again. This happens to the best of us if we don't watch out. It's something I have to remind myself of constantly. Even though my goals and dreams are expanding and manifesting over time more and more, I should forever be thankful and aware that it's because of my own imagination that this is occurring. Even though people on the physical side of life might have my back, might help me out, then of course I can thank them as well for their help. But I always have to remember that the direction in which I grow individually and that you grow individually speaking is always based on the visions that are controlling us from the depths of our being. And that is why Christ is our hope of glory. That is why it is for you. If you again understand that Christ is your imagination, it's symbolism for the power of imagination. In fact, it is through imagination that you can forgive and set yourself free from all the negatives. And that is exactly how in scriptures they described Christ as well, that he had those abilities to do just that, to look right past anything that was supposedly negative to others, because he would just look at it from a totally different angle. He would look at it from the angle of spiritual freedom, of oneness, of unity, of truth, of the fact that even though negative things occur to us and by us, we should look beyond it and see what the causes of those activities as well. Because negative things occur because of the way people are still using their imagination. You see, you can use it for good or bad, good or evil, it doesn't matter. Of course, the benefit to us is that if we use it for good, we're also going to experience more joy and fulfillment as we go through this physical life and beyond the physical life. And if we use this power unconsciously, which you've already been doing, everybody does, then more often than not, we're inclined to use it to take maybe revenge or to build concepts of total destruction for ourselves and everyone around us because of this primitive way of thinking. This sort of animalistic state of mind that we can also indulge in because right now we're physical beings. At the same time, we're not just physical, but we're having most of the time the experience of being a physical creature. that can be in danger, that needs to protect itself, all that sort of stuff. But you see in a previous video, or actually multiple videos, we already hinted at it, that is not the only thing to you. We want to find that power, that is our hope for glory. So again, if you exercise your imagination by building visions of the sort of reality you would like to experience, that is when you set in motion your hope for a glorious future. And as you then hold on to that dream, if you yield to that dream, then it starts to express itself with and through you and become a reality. Then over time you see your physical reality literally shift. You see elements of that vision show up in your physical life. And then as long as you stay focused on it, more and more elements of that same vision you're holding are gonna show up until eventually the whole vision is manifested for you. And then you realize that you have found the power that will always bring you hope for that glorious future. So every time you feel like you're stuck, you know where to look. You look inside through your imagination to the solution of your own problems, to the vision of fulfilled desires. Now this is the most important thing you want to understand about that quotation. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.